The story of Rama was perhaps one of medieval Asia's best known, adapted and spun by rulers and poets from Central Asia, throughout the Indian subcontinent, and into the endless archipelago of Southeast Asia. Wherever it went, it was enriched by new cultures and new languages. In the islands of present-day Indonesia, the Rama legend evolved perhaps its most creative and striking versions, developed by Sufi preachers and devout Muslims, both at royal courts and in lively popular theatre. I am Anirudh Kanisetti, historian author of Lords of the Deccan. Welcome to Thinking Medieval, where every week we tell you something new about our complex, innovative past. Always feel free to check out our research and citations below, and remember that we're all figuring out how to think about our messy, bloody, dazzling history. On the island of Java in the 9th or 10th century, an unknown poet completed his masterpiece, the Ramayana Kakawin. He lived in a world that had been globalized for many centuries. The courts of Java were intimately connected to those of Bengal, and merchants and monks from as far away as present-day Gujarat and Sri Lanka lived and traded on the island. This poet was well aware of Sanskrit texts circulating in the Ocean world, including the Bhatti Kavya, a retelling of the Ramayana in polished contemporary Sanskrit, making full use of the language's grammatical features. As his medieval Indian contemporaries did, as we talked about in this video, the poet used the Ramayana for his own political and cultural purposes. Rather than Sanskrit, he wrote in Old Javanese, a significant departure from the intellectual culture of his time. As historian Malini Saran and diplomat Vinod Khanna write in the Ramayana in Indonesia, the poet followed the Bhatti Kavya for the first portion of his narrative, but made significant developments in characterization, emotional depth, and dialogue. He also grounds it securely in Javanese cultural ideas, summarized by Saran in her paper, The Ramayana in Indonesia, Alternate Tellings. In the 9th century, the placenta was believed to have magical powers. As such, the bow won at Sita's wedding is a magical reincarnation of her birth placenta. Trijata, the daughter of Vibhishana, is a major character in the Kakawin. She serves as Sita's loyal companion, so loyal that she does not hesitate to chastise Rama when he questions his wife's loyalty. In Valmiki's Ramayana, Rama has little to say to Vibhishana when he grants him the throne of Lanka. The Kakawin's Rama, however, delivers a powerful discourse on kingship, which would be quoted and repeated in Java for centuries after. The body of the king, declares Rama, contains 8 deities, each representing a virtue which he must follow: generosity like Indra's rains, punishing the wicked like Yama, delighting the good like the glow of the moon, and many others. This was a powerful snapshot of how Javanese literateurs imagined kingship in the 9th century, but was only one among many circulating strands of the Rama legend, which wandering medieval bards and singers also took to with relish. Their embellishments have not survived from this early time. It would be a few more centuries before they would be compiled in a very different politico-religious culture. West Asian traders and sailors were active in Java even before the birth of Muhammad in the 7th century, but Islam only arrived there many centuries later in the 13th century. The question of where Indonesian Islam was disseminated from and how the archipelago converted largely without violent conflict is a complex one and deserves a separate video. In A History of Islam in Indonesia, historian Carool Kersten argues that though the islands had a rich Hindu-Buddhist history, membership within the wider Indian Ocean Muslim community may have offered protection against their most dangerous rivals, the mainland empires of Angkor and Siam. Arabic chronicles suggest that Sufi orders established in the Hadramaut region of the Arabian Peninsula had some Javanese members at the time. The Hadramaut merchant diaspora may have helped in the conveying of teachers and texts between these regions, which had a flourishing trade relationship. By the 16th century, rulers in Sumatra, the Malay Peninsula, and Java had converted to Islam. Islamicate legends and titles appeared alongside Hindu and Buddhist ones in state chronicles known as Hikayat and Sejarah. For example, in the Sejarah Malayu commissioned by the court of Malacca, its ruling dynasty is said to be descended from Iskandar, Alexander the Great in his Islamicate form, and from Raja Chulan or Rajendra Chola. As Indologist S. Singaravelu writes in the Rama story in the Malay tradition, Malacca sultans also granted their admirals and generals the title of Laksamana, keeping with the old tradition that identified the king with Rama, and the legend that Rama appointed Lakshmana, his younger brother, as commander-in-chief. Saran and Khanna note in the Ramayana in Indonesia that one legend from Demak in northern Java claims that its sultan ordered the burning of older texts upon his conversion. However, they show that this is disproven by the actual literary evidence from Javanese courts. Here's a quote from an 18th century Javanese ulema recorded in the Seret Kabalek. The essence of kavi, or medieval poetic works, is expressed in many metaphors from which the quintessence of mystical knowledge can be mastered. These, just as the books of Rama and Kavi, are books on Sufism. There was no contradiction in the Javanese mind between being a devout Muslim and revering Rama. In fact, Rama's discourse on kingship from the 9th century in the Ramayana Kakawin continues to appear in texts from the early modern court of Mataram, such as the Seret Rama. Particularly vibrant retelling of the Rama legend appears in an epic called the Hikayat Seri Rama, meaning the Chronicle of Sri Rama. It begins with the origin story of Ravana, banished to an island at the age of 12 for bullying his playmates. The prophet Adam visits him and intercedes with Allah, who then grants Ravana dominion. In some versions, writes Professor Singaravelu, Allah replaces Brahma and Dasharatha is held to be Adam's great-grandson, thus integrating Rama into Javanese Islamic sense of history, no longer a god but still a figure to be emulated. Indonesian oral traditions had developed every character in the Rama legend, giving them magical powers and intertwined backstories involving accidental seductions, gossip, and other shenanigans. And these are still preserved in the Hikayat and are so amusing that I recommend that readers look them up for themselves. One of my personal favorite episodes, Hanuman sneaks into Ravana's bedroom and ties the demon king's hair to his wife's. He then leaves a note that the knot can be untied if Ravana's wife beats him, which she does. This impish mischief, recorded in a Javanese Muslim chronicle, is a reminder that many weavers, great and small, have participated in the tapestry of Rama's history. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear them. Follow us everywhere on social media. You can find me on Instagram at Anirudh and at Connected Histories, and on Twitter at Kanisetti. We'll see you next week.